Hello and welcome back to the Connection Esports Arena, our recently rebranded arena. Formerly SNHU Esports, but of course SNHU Esports here tonight for the Overwatch 2 semifinals coming through. SNHU versus uOttawa. Garnet running it back. We had a match against them not too long ago. My name is Sholey. I'm joined up here with Rhino. Brad, how are we feeling about the match tonight?
Definitely feeling good about tonight. I think since the last time we played them, again, it was just a really close match. And I think we've become a better team since then. You know, we've made some adjustments. We've definitely, we've reorganized the lineup a little bit. We're definitely doing more to try and fix those couple of mistakes and really take this next one. So I think this is going to be a great match, and I think we are in a good spot for it.
Yeah, I mean, the last match was very close, coming out of that 3-1. Those maps are very close, though, and so we'll see kind of through the bands, SNHU is looking to take things a little bit of a different way. Last time we started off Lijiang, uOttawa got the upper hand, got the running start in that map. Now we're looking at Busan as SNHU ban out Lijiang, looking to take things over to Busan first.
Sounds like a good idea to me. We've been playing Busan all season. We've had a lot of good success on it every time we have, so, very excited to take it to this map. I've as a tank player on the team, I've played on that Busan map. We have we've got some good strategies ironed out, and we I think are in a good situation here with this first map pick and ban.
Yeah. So looking at this, I mean, especially for kind of running it back so soon after we had our last match, it's only been, maybe 4 or 5 weeks since our last match versus uOttawa Garnet. So this is definitely still kind of a fresh wound, so to speak. I mean, we're third seed going up against them as second seed. So it can't really be understated just how kind of close and up in the air this match is going to be. Like you mentioned that the team was feeling very confident about it. I've talked to them a lot on my own, and they have all been, kind of sharing that same feeling of like they're excited to take the fight back against uOttawa Garnet because they are feeling like they've learned so much and kind of workshopped a lot of the issues they had in their last matchup. So it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how they adapt things and also how they play around a different map pool, because we've seen, I mean, once you've seen kind of two teams play each other on one map, you get a general feel for kind of how their play styles are, and getting to look at some different maps in the map pool, see a little bit of variety there. Gets us to see a little bit more of the other sides of these teams. That's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, of course, it's been a while since our last match. Like you said, 4 or 5 weeks since we played them. The meta's shifted too, right?
That's true.
The last time we played them, from my memory was kind of on that Zarya, Reaper, Lucio, Kiriko, that comp that was really meta for a while until, Contenders and Owls started playing especially after the midseason patch went through, started playing more of the Winston comp, something that's been called Banana Rush. It's effectively the same comp, Sojourn Reaper, Lucio, Kiriko, but with Winston instead of Zarya, due to the Zarya nerfs that went through midseason. So it'll definitely be an interesting matchup to not only be on different maps, but also on a completely different comp.
And I'm interested to see if we might see the counter to that Banana Rush comp, which is going to be the Roadhog coming out and trying to deal with that. I know we've been talking about that a little bit, but just kind of seeing how that counter meta has been emerging a little bit. It's definitely very hard to play. I think it's much harder to play than running just the typical Winston team composition, because Roadhog is one of those characters that really just has a lot of trouble staying alive. He's very easy to kind of feed on. And so in these compositions that really revolve around him taking up a lot of space, you got to be someone who's really kind of in your element as Roadhog. And so we've seen some teams kind of try to attempt it a little bit before, but they've usually quickly switched off once things kind of start not working for them. Yeah,
and in scrims recently, we've had some success against the Roadhog comp, so I feel pretty confident if they decide to try and swap to that counter. An interaction that you won't see against Roadhog, which you would typically see back in the Overwatch 1 days, is the Ana into the Roadhog in order to counter with the anti. Mm-hmm. But because of how powerful Kiriko is right now and her ability to cleanse the anti, the Kiriko Roadhog synergy is just too tight to be able to play that Ana and get value out of those antis, as the Kiriko will use her Protection Suzu to cleanse the anti off the Roadhog. So that's an interaction that used to be a way to really punish a Roadhog for being too aggressive or playing out of position, whereas now Kiriko can save him from that counter. So people aren't even trying to play the Ana at this point. In these team compositions. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how Roadhog thrives in kind of this environment where he's not being punished by Anti, and he's got a larger health pool and more healing and more damage reduction, and it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, there was actually a very kind of a noticeable point where that meta shifted in kind of the NECC meta, which was, Kiriko got enabled a few weeks after coming out, and a lot of teams were very hesitant to pick her up, and so you saw a lot of the Ana still in the mix. But kind of the moment that Overwatch League teams and contenders teams started to kind of mess around with Kiriko and start to see that meta kind of develop and become more kind of rigid, immediately we saw a lot of teams in NECC picking up that Kiriko, seeing a lot of great success on it, and then Ana just disappeared overnight.
Yeah, that's when you can't get value out of the Anti, Ana's really a non-factor. I mean, her biggest effect on the game is landing large antis and stopping the enemy team from being able to heal for a few seconds, and in those few seconds creating a really aggressive offensive push. You just can't do that against a Kiriko. She'll cleanse the whole thing, and now your push is over. So Ana, like you said, overnight gone. Wasn't even a pick in really any team comps at any sort of organized play. Neither contenders, Owl, or collegiate.
And looking at another part of this team composition, as we did see, I mean, the last time we saw Overwatch on stream, of course, we saw this composition. We saw kind of how rigid it was, too, because the moment teams kind of tried to deviate away from it, you could really feel how hard they were getting punished for kind of straying away from the very, very hardline composition. And a lot of the time you see one of the big playmakers that you don't normally see in a lot of other team compositions. He's kind of been a factor throughout all of this season of Overwatch, but Reaper in particular has been someone who just really kind of is enabled by a lot of the other characters who are good on this team composition. And because of that, it enables him to be kind of a big playmaker. But the moment you see teams kind of break that formation, the banana rush standard, you see Reaper kind of start to struggle a little bit when he doesn't have those characters in particular to support him up, really.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is a conversation that you and I had, whereas Reaper is not really a definition of the meta, although he appears everywhere in every iteration of this comp that has worked through the season. He's appeared in each one of them, but he's more of a symptom of the meta as opposed to the cause of the meta. You're not playing these characters because Reaper is good. You're playing Reaper because the other characters are good, and we'll probably see plenty of Reaper here tonight.
Absolutely. He is one of those characters that is just very much kind of universally easy to get value out of, be very easy to play efficiently. So you see him a lot, as well as a lot of opportunities to make big plays using his ultimate. But immediately looking at these team compositions, we're going to see something interesting potentially coming out of the gates here for uOttawa.
Yeah, definitely the Tracer pick is a deviation from what we were talking about, the Reaper being inconsistent in all those comps. I'll be interested to see how they play it differently, especially with the Roadhog. Looks like they're going to do a Sim TP out of spawn and then probably swap to the Tracer right back. Or they're going to do the Sojourn swap to the Sim. Same deal.
One way or the other. Yeah. That Symmetra's not staying.
Yeah.
Very likely. But kind of getting to see exactly how the team composition is going to work, because like I mentioned, we've seen this Roadhog composition pop up, but it is a hard composition to play, and teams will very quickly switch off of it once they feel like they're not quite executing it properly. So it's going to be up to uOttawa to really kind of prove how hard they've been able to figure out this counter composition. We'll see Menace teleporting directly in on the backline. Paul's going to go down, though, and that's Innocent taking him out. That's the power of that Roadhog. Norman taking that straight at Menace. That's 2 players down. For SNHU, very unceremoniously, right at the start of the round 2, just picked off, and that's going to be uOttawa, who are very likely going to be able to capture this first hill in just a second as SNHU gets sent back to spawn.
Yeah, it looked like that team fight. I mean, that's what the Roadhog's for, right? Counter the monkey, cause him to not be able to take the space he wants to take, and he just did that perfectly, and then followed up with a couple other extra kills, really secured that team fight for them.
Yeah, looking at this team composition, you usually do have the Palsy's going to fall again. A railgun from Norman taking him down, and that's going to be SNHU. They're stunted once again, just pushed back while uOttawa continue to rack up those points on the point.
It's going to be super important for them to keep track of this Roadhog cooldown as well. Huge kill on the Tracer here from Sojourn, because it's a big factor as to how he secures picks very early in fights.
We'll see here as they continue to push now that they are up 1, just running straight in. Paul's is taking a lot of damage, though. That shotgun from Roadhog really does hurt him a lot. And once you have that Roadhog, you can really kind of switch off that Reaper, switch over to the Tracer, and we see some value coming out of that. But Pepto finding a nice little double kill there, taking out both Ice Volcano and Innocent. That 2-piece is going to give SNHU their first hold on this point. Start to get things ticking up for them.
You've got to be careful when Pepto's got that railgun charged. I mean, he is so effective at hitting those shots. As soon as you see him start glowing blue, the other team should be shaking in their boots.
Yeah, and that's very much, I mean, that once you get that railgun charge, it stays for 8 seconds. If you can pepper someone, it's going to stay, but we're seeing the Kitsune Rush come out from Supreme, as well as the whole hog from Innocent just completely shoves them back, shoves them out of Osiren's Kitsune Rush. We're going to see the beat come out from One Trick, very defensive here. Will pop it after Pepto has already died, though, so they are down one going into next fight, but the Death Blossom coming out. The Suzu tries to save them, but both Norman and Supreme fall straight up. Man, it's continuing to shred through the back line, just laying into Innocent right now, be able to take him out. It's going to be Gergs trying to stabilize, but SNHU hold on once again with a really nice surprise Death Blossom.
That was a great position taken from Straight Up Menace, coming from that high ground, dropping on the supports when they weren't ready for it, popping that Death Blossom immediately. He knew that they still had Suzu, but that wasn't important. They couldn't get away from him. It simply doesn't last long enough.
Pulse Bomb going to go a little bit wide there from Gergs, and we can see that it can be a little bit of an issue for Sojourn to really deal with this Tracer when she is blinking around. You got to be really confident to actually hit that alt fire button and shoot your railgun out. But Gergs and Innocent are both going to find kills. Straight Up Menace and Osiren fall. That's a support down for SNHU. Pepto pops the overclocker, gets taken down by Innocent there, who's just free and able to run up as Palsy gets taken down there by Ice Volcano. uOttawa are going to be able to reclaim the point. You're going to be a little bit of a stall coming out from One Trick, but SNHU have built up a lot of progress here.
Yeah, and I mean, they got the beat out of them there, so they're not going to have to worry about that for their next ultimate that's coming up. One Trick right now, because of that, usage is outpacing their Lucio, so he'll probably be ready for when they, you know, come up with the whole hog and the railgun, the overclock, I should say. So that'll be definitely a good opportunity to counter those ultimates.
See now, SNHU with Osiren down, they got to just wait once again, and that is you know, very much a strong point of this Roadhog and of, you know, having Sojourn in there as well, is you're going to be able to get a lot of pick potential just off of those hooks, off of those stray railgun shots. Eventually, one of those is going to hit, and potentially, if the other team isn't really able to counter it fast enough, it's going to lead into a very quick advantage for you. But rushing in, Norman is going to take down Pepto, shutting down our Sojourn. SNHU are now down one. The Primal Rage comes out. Gergs is going to go down to Osiren, finding that kill. Norman trying to just lock down One Trick right now. Can't quite land this final shot. Can't quite get the charge up. Innocent tearing through SNHU's backline. Is going to take down Straight Up Menace. The Kitsune Rush comes out from Osiren, as well as, actually not from Supreme right there. Osiren coming through. The beat comes out from One Trick. We are in overtime right now. uOttawa, they got to try and hold on to this for as long as they can. SNHU need to flip this now or never. They did just find 3 quick kills to start to swing at things back, and with Innocent down, going to be SNHU who are able to flip the point, bring things up. Pretty much going to be 1 or 2 fights left for uOttawa left in this round.
Yeah, it looks like it. And I mean, you saw that was absolutely clinical from SNHU coming up and just kind of ignoring the Roadhog for as long as they could and taking care of the rest of his team, because he's so hard to kill when he's got his heal up and he's got both healers keeping him alive. So they did a great job. They killed the other 4 members of the team, and then they came back and dealt with Roadhog later.
Interesting enough, uOttawa's going to switch off the Sojourn over to the Reaper, and now Palsy finding that kill onto Innocent, who's switched off of that. Roadhog is going to go down. Gergs finds that Pulse Bomb onto Osiren, though that's a support down. Palsy's going to fall as well as he gets his healing cut. Pepto trying to stay alive as Gergs harassing him. Death Blossom comes out, takes out Supreme. That's a big pick there, finding that support, but the beat comes out from Ice Volcano, keeping that Reaper alive as well. Straight Up Menace has to Wraith out just to stay alive. Norman finds a quick double kill. Pepto trying to stay alive, but Innocent running in on the ball is going to be able to get this point flipped back over for his team, and uOttawa are going to secure round 1.
That was a tough last fight there, using the beat to sustain the 3 that were on point, just for enough time to have Innocent come back on the ball. It was a great play by their Lucio, you know, to get that beat off before he died there on the point contesting. It was only 3 of them. We definitely had the numbers advantage, but that beat, you know, extra 1,000 HP for all your teammates. I mean, it's hard to chunk through that in enough time, and they were able to just come back and recontest that point before we were able to kill the 3 that were on it. So definitely a tough last fight there, but super, super close match.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that just goes to show how ult usage can really impact, when, you know, those situations where, oh, you're down a player, but you can just pop an ultimate there, and that kind of, you know, is able to bounce things back for you. Smart usage of ultimates, obviously, of course, is so key to this, and we see uOttawa getting really good usage out of theirs, but they're going right back to this Roadhog composition that worked pretty well for them last time there. Pepto already built up that full railgun, going over to the high ground. Let's see if he finds anything. He won't. He has to play back a little bit there. Innocent just zoning off that space by existing with that hook. Pepto's going to be able to take down Supreme, though, but Osiren gets traded out. That's both supports, or both Kiriko's down. Pepto will get taken down by Norman there with that railgun. SNHU trying to just get this first cap on the point. Immediately, uOttawa are going to start to run in here as Balti is trying to zap down Ice Volcano. They're taking a lot of damage on his own, though, and Innocent's going to be the one to finish him off. One trick gets hooked in, gets taken out there. Innocent getting a nice little double kill there, and Norman taking that straight up Menace to even thing, or to really just tie up that team fight there. SNHU getting pushed back into their spawn. uOttawa are going to get the first hold.
Yeah, losing that Kiriko early on both teams is pretty tough, but there's a huge difference between losing it with a Roadhog as your tank and losing it with a Winston as your tank. Winston can't really heal himself back up without the assistance of that Kiriko, but the Roadhog could take care of himself on his own, so it's definitely tough.
Oh, Siren getting picked out there right away. Innocent just landing 100 with these hooks. He's absolutely on fire right now. Menace going in, wraithing. We'll burn that hook. But this is a pretty solid hold here from uOttawa right now. SNHU having a tough time just getting past these arches. Definitely a lot of issue, like I mentioned, that poke potential, that pick potential from Innocent and Norman together are just able to kind of, you know, if they do land that lucky shot, they can't just kill you outright. But SNHU with that hook down, they're going to take this opportunity to run forward, take the high ground here. One Trick trying to fall back and get back with his team, but Pepto's going to go down. He got singled out, and now SNHU, they're down a very critical DPS. We'll see how they're able to hold out here, but Innocent popping the whole hog in these close quarters is going to find two Gergs, and Norman round things out. A team kill from uOttawa, and they're at 60% right now.
Yeah, it seems like uOttawa is taking advantage of these, I guess, I don't want to say misplaced, but these like oddly timed picks here, getting, you know, the Kiriko really early, getting the Sojourn really late, like, you know, after the rotation. Like, they're definitely taking advantage of those off opportunities that they can really single somebody out.
Ooh, Pepto staying alive just barely, but One Trick will be the one to fall in his place, and with Ice Volcano running at him along with Gergs, it's going to be so hard to deal with that. 4 quick kills for uOttawa, and SNHU going to get team killed once again, sent back to spawn. uOttawa now at 90%. It's going to be tough for SNHU to get this touch and actually hold on to it.
Yeah, it's definitely, we're in last touch territory here for SNHU, so it'll be interesting to see what they pull out here in order to take care of it. Looks like One Trick is going to get that last touch to start the overtime clock.
Palsy just taking so much damage from those Roadhog alt fires, that long-range blast really, really hurting. But Gergs is going to go down. Siren finding a nice opening and pick right there. SNHU have taken a lot of damage, though the Kitsune Rush will come out from Siren, trying to keep his team alive as Pepto finds that kill onto Ice Volcano. They will be able to flip the point, 99-0 now SNHU. Let's see if they can come in for the reverse sweep right here, because they have to take this all the way at the moment. Menace going to hold on to that Death Blossom. Use the Summer Restraint right there as SNHU. I mean, in this next team fight, they're going to have Death Blossom, maybe Overclock if they're really able to build it up.
Absolutely. This is going to definitely rely a lot, especially with that early Lucio pick, on how much Ult Charge Pepto can get here. Already at 74%. It'll definitely be very reliant on that Overclock, especially Death Blossom coming out, getting the Lucio. Fantastic use of the ult, and Roadhog uses the whole hog. It doesn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, really just burned the whole hog there. SNHU staying alive. Really, really nice fight right there. Good usage of ultimates to kind of clutch that one out from straight up Menace. uOttawa now, they've got to regroup here. SNHU, they were a few players down at the start of that fight, so that was a really big win for them. They're going to be able to regroup and actually fight at full strength here. Hopefully nobody gets picked off again this time, but with Innocent on the field, he will miss that hook. Potentially an opportunity for SNHU to find some more aggressive poke damage here, but Palsy dropping it down to the point as uOttawa start to contest. Pepto's going to find the kill, though, and that's Norman down. As SNHU Sojourn comes out on top, the Overclock is also shown. Innocent will find the kill onto Palsy, though, and that's a tank down for SNHU. uOttawa is still holding on to theirs. Got the Kitsune Rush as out as they begin to spill out onto the point. Pepto trying to stay alive as Innocent is running right at him. He's able to shred him a lot with his gun, but Menace now just trapped in the corner. uOttawa in a good position right now. Pepto in a good position to just get damage, but Innocent will land that hook and just take him out of the fight right away. Menace being forced to get more in there right now. The Kitsune Rush comes out, but so does the beat from uOttawa. Perfectly timed from Ice Volcano. Palsy is going to go down. The Suzu comes out from Siren. You see him just trying to get in there, trying to find these big kills. He knows he has to play big, play risky for it, but he's not going to be able to find it. As Gergs finds a double kill, and Innocent takes down One Trick to clean up this round. They flip the point, and uOttawa are going to take Busan.
You know, that was a great last fight there from uOttawa. I mean, going into it, they had the higher ult economy, and they knew it, and they played like it. They were ready for the overclock, and so they had, you know, the counter was there. They were ready to play around it. Innocent was ready to hit the hook. It just, that went out perfectly for them. And then on top of that, they ended up using their Kitsune. They used their overclock. I mean, they just, what all didn't they have?
Yeah, it really just smart usage of kind of how they budgeted their fights from uOttawa overall. They always kind of had an ultimate ready to go into the next fight, and if they didn't, they always had really great pick opportunities coming out from the Roadhog, coming out from Norman, and Norman was really, really kind of heated up tonight. You could tell that just in this first map alone, he was hitting a ton of shots. He was winning a lot of his one-on-ones with Pepto. So that's something that's scary to look out for here, especially, I mean, Sojourn is such a critical player. That's definitely going to be a big pinch point there. And for SNHU, for Pepto in particular, I think he's struggling a little bit kind of with that Roadhog and kind of how to play the angles he normally plays. Sojourn normally very aggressive, holds very aggressive angles, because she can just take your head off in one hit, but that Roadhog is really going to challenge that.
I mean, we saw him in that round. He was hitting his hooks. He hit him more than he missed him, right? And so it's hard to play around a player like that where he's got a 20-meter radius and a full circle around him where he could just kill you.
Yeah.
And if he's landing those hooks consistently, you've got to play different, right? You've got to understand that you're within your potential kill if you are outside of a shield within 20 meters of that Roadhog. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust and what changes they make moving into this next map, which I think we'll hear pretty soon what it will be.
I'm not sure if they're still picking right now. They do have to, I mean, after every single game, it will be the winner will get to ban a few maps first. So they might still be going through that process right now. So definitely going to be, while it is loser's pick for the next map from SNHU, particularly uOttawa is going to have a lot of control with those winning bans. They're going to be able to really shut down a lot of SNHU's kind of go-to maps they might be looking for if they've done their scouting, which, I mean, they've played against each other, so essentially they have. Particularly going forward, I think, as we go into hybrid, SNHU particularly kind of likes to look at maps like Kings Row for hybrid. I think kind of a staple map in our map pool, so I'll be interested to see if that gets taken out, because last time uOttawa did win that fight on Kings Row. It was a very close fight. It was a very, very close fight. It was a 5-4 set on Kings Row there. So that was a very close map. We'll see if they decide to run that one back or if SNHU are looking to take things somewhere else, because it will be very interesting to see how this set differs from the last one here. Already starting off, I mean, we had Busan instead of Li Zhang first, and uOttawa were still able to take that first map.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the control that they showed on the second round there and the position that they forced us into, you know, in a situation where we had to use our ults to win and they could attack multiple times while conserving ults, leading to that, you know, ult deficit there at the end. So definitely will be interesting to see on a hybrid map where they can't really do that same strategy. You can't, you know, take the whole point to 100% and then save your ults for when you need to take it back. It's, you know, it's a different game mode. It'll be played a little bit differently. Looks like we're headed to Eichenwald next.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was not really expecting the Eichenwald pick here, but I mean, we've played on it before, so you know, I'm confident in our ability to take this map.
Yeah, this is going to be, I mean, I think Eichenwald has been kind of a close second to the amount we've seen Kings Row this season. We've seen a lot of Eichenwald as well. So definitely one that SNHU has a lot of experience on. uOttawa likely to have a lot of experience as well. But just kind of looking at Eichenwald in particular, how can we kind of expect to see this different from a map like Kings Row? What's really different about this kind of hold on Eichenwald?
Well, I think Eichenwald first will probably see sort of similar to how you play Kings Row. I mean, you know, there's the defined choke points. There's the corners that you're looking to take and hold. I think the real difference that we're going to see is on second point, where you've got the castle, you've got that high ground you want to control. It's going to be interesting to see how the two comps differ. I assume they're going to stick with the Roadhog comp for uOttawa Garnet, and I assume that SNHU is going to stick with the Winston comp here. It'll be interesting to see how the Roadhog comp deals with taking and holding high ground, because Hog isn't really mobile. He's hard to, you know, it takes him a while to walk around to places. So, you know, it'll definitely be an interesting way that they play, and we see Innocent staying in spawn here for a second. We'll see if he decides to stick on this Roadhog pick, and it's possible we could see a swap for second point as well. If, you know, the Roadhog is really consistent on that first point, it's a lot of flat ground, not a lot of high ground you need to control. Second point, almost complete opposite. So maybe we'll see a swap on second off of the Roadhog.
With SNHU attacking first here, we're seeing some interesting picks from uOttawa. We're seeing that Echo being held right now. I mean, they're out of spawn, so this isn't going to be a last-minute switch. This is what they're committed to at the moment. So that's kind of interesting to see. You can definitely see uOttawa. They are kind of playing this Roadhog composition, but they are very much, you know, they're using that freedom that having the Roadhog gives you to play away from the Reaper and play a little bit different.
Yeah, and I mean, in both of these comps, the swap off of the Reaper is the Echo, right? If you're not playing Reaper, you should be playing Echo. They tried the Tracer. It was tough. We'll see how they do on the Echo here instead of the Reaper.
Particularly with characters like Echo and Paul's getting caught out there. Gurgs and Innocent just collapsing in on him there. One Trick's also going to fall down. Gurgs will get caught out, but uOttawa getting a big lead right there, finding 2 big kills, and SNHU are going to be forced to fall back pretty much right off the bat here as Innocent now, I mean, he's got his hook down. You've seen Menace just really taking advantage of that lane into him, building up that ult charge, just getting that damage out, pushing Innocent back.
Yeah, and I mean, that's how you should play. When Roadhog loses his hook, you've got to be aggressive. That is his kill potential. You can take advantage of him not having it.
A good kill there from Menace. He's going to take down Gurgs a little too close to the ground. Now, uOttawa getting pushed back into this back corner. Well-placed disruptor shot from Pepto could really cut them off here as they just get cut back, and this choke looks like they're just going to pull back and cut their losses here as Ice Volcano falls. SNHU going to capture the first point here, and this is going to be an interesting hold on this second point because normally you will see, you know, very much that high ground hold, which is not really going to be something that Roadhog is going to be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, he's definitely, I think, going to have a hard time here rotating from low to high, adapting to...
Oh
my goodness, what a shot.
Now Pepto's in a hard spot right now, though, because he's got Innocent on him. That hook goes wide, though, and he does stay alive for just a little bit longer. These doors opening and going to fall back to the rest of their team. Innocent, not a little bit of a weird spot right now. Pepto finds another kill, taking down Norman, shutting down uOttawa's Sojourn, as Innocent also falls to Osiren and the rest of SNHU. Good pick from Ice Volcano. The Pepto is taking a shocking amount of damage.
Yeah, I mean, that Lucio hit all of those shots. Just dink, 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 headshot after headshot. So, you know, that was definitely a surprising death there, but they'll be able to recover pretty quickly here, I think.
Menace does have this Death Blossom, potentially a scary situation. They do have to worry about that Suzu Palsy. Getting hooked is going to force that jump out. He's not going to have it when he decides to jump back in, and the whole hog comes out just in time. Right as he lands in front of him, he's going to find 1 kill with that, taking down Palsy. One Trick also falls, but the Death Blossom hit the back. He'll take down Supreme, and he jukes the hook while he's in his ult. He's still alive, he's still living. Pepto will end up falling as Innocent continues to just tear it through the backline with Gurgs. Ice Volcano re-arriving on the scene. The SNHU in a tough spot right now, and that's Menace just getting yanked off. He's able to teleport back up in time. Good reactions there.
Fantastic recovery from that hook. I mean, we saw how the Hog was able to punish the Winston on with the off-map hook. Menace not able to fall to the same tricks.
Scary situation there for Palsy, forced to pop the Primal Rage. Innocent right in the middle of his entire team's healing and healing himself back up. Pepto does to win the fight against Norman, but Gurgs is quick to shut him back down. The Suzu comes out, keeps Supreme alive, but Palsy gonna chase him down and shut him out. Gurgs able to find that kill on Osiren's continuing. We got 2 separate fights going on, really. The front line from SNHU fighting uOttawa's backline, and uOttawa's front line fighting SNHU's backline. Very, very much disorganized here, with Innocent finally falling. Looking like SNHU are going to be able to actually push through onto this second point, but right now, a lot of reinforcements coming through just in time. We're going to see the overclock come out from Norman to see if he's able to find anything with this. Pepto's able to shut down Gurgs, though, and One Trick stabilize here. Menace will end up falling to that overclock rail shot. Innocent re-arriving on the scene, and Pepto is going to fall. SNHU just a few meters short of the second point, not going to find it.
I mean, that fight on the bridge, I think we can attribute entirely to the play between straight up Menace and Osiren. Osiren popping the Kitsune Rush to follow the Blossom. Menace able to juke the Roadhog hook so he stays alive for just a little bit longer. He's able to pump out insane amounts of damage in that Kitsune Rush. Fantastic bit of play there to take the 2v3 and turn it into a winnable situation.
And we'll see how they decide to play from inside of this fortress right here. Definitely very close-up environment where that whole hog could be pretty scary. We might see that pop soon as it comes out. Along with the Kitsune Rush, they're looking for something big here, and they are able to find Palsy. Menace getting sent off the side will die after he pops his Death Blossom. That's 3 quick kills for uOttawa as they find that ult combo to kill. Pepto's not going to make it completely painless, though. He's going to take out Norman with him as they fall back.
Yeah, and I mean, something that helped them on first point that's going to help them out here, too, is spawn advantage, right? As the attacking team, typically your spawn is going to be closer to the payload's route than the defending team. So now that they've gotten that late pick, if Pepto lives, they can take this next fight pretty quick and not have to deal with the Norman on the Sojourn.
Palsy in a weird spot right now, though. Will get quickly healed up by his team, following up on this initial push-in. Innocent playing around this corner right here. The overclock comes out from Pepto, but he gets shut down, and Gertz is going to find the duplication before he takes the kill. Going to send that disruptive shot in a little bit of a weird spot right now, but is able to take down Palsy, continuing to just get that damage out and make things work. Osiren on the brink of death, not going to last much longer, will end up falling. One-Trick trying to fall back to his spawn, will be able to escape safely. uOttawa burning a lot of time right here. SNHU with only a minute and a quarter left. It'll be a little bit tough for him.
I mean, that Echo attack as soon as the overclock came out was fantastic. Super risky, right? Pepto could take that Echo's head off at any moment. But, you know, took the fight, took it confidently, used the dupe to ensure that they would live. And although they really only did a little bit of damage to Palsy there, it was still a great way to come back from a really risky situation and turn it into an advantage.
Yeah, really good usage of duplication there. SNHU looking to try and take this next fight. Beat comes out from Ice Volcano, though, to keep the team alive. SNHU haven't taken that much, though, and the beat comes out from One-Trick. Does hit the entire team there. The Kitsune Rush comes out as well, and uOttawa don't really have any ults to continue to push through here. As Norman goes down, Innocent falls, Ice Volcano falls. It is 1 by 1 for uOttawa. Gertz next up on the chopping block. SNHU are going to capture this second point, and here it goes. Just barrel stuffing Pepto there. That's got to be terrifying.
Oh yeah, I mean, any one of those shots could have been a headshot. It's almost completely random at that point. But I mean, fantastic hold from uOttawa Garnet there on that last, you know, right before that door opens up. They really held them for a few solid team fights there, but I think the time bank that we see now, I mean, it was just because the absolute domination of SNHU. Speaking of domination, straight up Menace gets 3, could turn it into 4 with this Reaper.
What a great ultimate coming out there. That's going to be a team kill from SNHU, and that is a big spot of the map to find that team kill immediately popping out. As soon as that hook went wide, they knew they had to push hard, and they found a lot of value out of that, but the Kitsune Rush going to come up from Supreme to send his team back out. Along with the whole hog, they are really trying to find a lot of value with that ult synergy, and it can really hurt. It's going to take down Palsy, but Pepto up top, still alive. He's going to find the kill onto Norman, looking for Supreme now as the overclock comes out, but those kunai just hurt so much, and Pepto is gonna fall. One-Trick and Osiren next up to go down. It's just Palsy left as he waits at the spawn room for the rest of his team.
That was a really tough overclock there. I think it was a great decision by Pepto. I mean, they were down one player there. You know, they were in a situation where a solid overclock could make the fight winnable. I think it was a great choice. Unfortunate that those kunai were really landing on him when he was trying to take that duel with the Kiriko.
Innocent able to pick up a ton of damage there on Palsy, but with that hook down, you see immediately SNHU trying to play forward, but Norman finds Menace, just takes him out of the fight right away. One-Trick goes down. Gertz finding that kill. It's looking like uOttawa are going to be able to win this final team fight here with only 15 seconds left on the clock. Unlikely for SNHU to find this touch, but what a great push this has been for them so far.
Oh yeah, absolutely stellar first and second points here, and a really great team fight to open on third. Just a fantastic display of play here, and a great defensive hold from uOttawa Garnet. I think that was a great round, really all around.
Yeah, both teams really showing that they've got a lot of mastery on this map for sure, but for uOttawa, things are going to be a little bit tricky for them on this offense here. They've got to pretty much take this cart all the way. Granted, they don't have to take it all the way. Key difference there, SNHU only got 2 points, not 3. So if uOttawa do find themselves going all the way, they will win this map outright. There is not going to be an overtime round here. But for uOttawa, we'll see this Roadhog composition kind of here in when you've got that, you know, very high vertical difference in this second point. So interesting to see how that kind of plays out in this area.
I mean, if I had to kind of predict how they were going to approach this point, I think their idea is going to be to provide some poke from main, from, you know, in the sky. Of course, you see the Echo choice from them so far. We'll see if they stick with it. But using, you know, either Sojourner, Reaper, or Echo to provide some pressure from main while their Roadhog makes his way up the stairs inside, because that's really the only way he can approach that high ground. So we'll see if that's the strategy they end up going with. You can use the Lucio there to kind of allow him to cross gaps a little faster, allow your DPS to create some pressure. Kiriko can TP between the two groups. I think it'll be a two-pronged attack onto that high ground, should they get there.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how they try and play around this. Definitely a little bit more of an unorthodox plan, but they're actually going to switch off of the Echo, get back on that Reaper. I like that a little bit more for how they kind of want to play aggressive here. And while the Echo might be good on the second point, I think on the first point here, this Reaper is really going to do a lot for them when they can really just kind of play up in your face, this brawly kind of skirmish coming out here. But we see them immediately just running in, Disruptor Shot, not quite slowing them down too much here as Gerg's playing around that shield. Pepto's trying to find this damage going in, has to fall back though, and still very, very low health. This team tries to group up. Norman running here after Palsy, who is on the brink of death, will go down. So does Osiren. Pepto trying to fight these two, but Gergs is going to be the one to take him out. That's uOttawa pushing through this very first point in an incredibly fast amount of time.
I mean, you saw how they approached that point, approaching around the tower, sending, that two-pronged attack that I think they're going to do on second point as well, sending their DPS one side with Kiriko to apply some pressure to allow their Roadhog to take the space on the other side relatively uncontested as far as countering those pushes goes. As SNHU, you're looking at the DPS because they're closer and they're scarier, but when the Roadhog comes around that tower on the other side, you've got to be ready for that flank.
Yeah, he can just, peek a corner and instantly turn that into a kill zone, right? You've got to be so aware of what angles he's watching at every single moment here. And for uOttawa right now, we see, like you mentioned, they're having a little bit of a tough time really trying to advance on this high ground, but they can really just kind of sit back and push the cart at this point. Straight up Menace and Palsy down here trying to just get some good damage in. Innocent with no hook, though. Menace finding this opportunity just to run at him here. And Pepto on the flank, just some good opportunity to build up some charge here. We'll see if he's able to find too much. Norman switching back over to that Tracer, though, is going to make things a little bit harder for Pepto, though. And both teams just trading back and forth, losing players on both sides with Palsy falling. It's going to be a distinct advantage for uOttawa as they continue to push forward, and we see SNHU abandon the fortress.
Something worth looking at here as well, as far as team comp goes for uOttawa. Last round, we saw Norman on the Sojourn, and this round, we're going to see Gergs on the Sojourn. And I think that's probably because Norman is both their Reaper and their Sojourn player, I would guess. So they're probably playing Gergs on the Sojourn because they started off with the Reaper. They're swapping to the Tracer. Maybe they're seeing something that, would require her mobility or, her pressure she can apply by herself.
Menace coming in with the Death Blossom. If you go find Supreme, Innocent's going to fall as well, but the Overclock comes out from Gergs. He's going to find 2 kills off of that. Ice Volcano ends up falling as Gergs finds a third. Will be a team kill there for SNHU as they stay alive and push uOttawa back, but definitely at a cost, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we lost a lot of people that round. It was really some stellar DPS play to clean up there at the end to ensure that fight didn't go south. Fantastic play from Menace, straight up Menace with the Death Blossom, and then with the falling pressure he applied on Lucio underneath.
Innocent pushing up through here. We've seen the Kitsune Rush come out from Supreme as they begin to push up. One trick is going to end up falling. Osiren sending out his own Kitsune Rush, forcing uOttawa back. We're seeing the whole hog come out as Palsy hops in. We'll see the Primal Rage get popped as well as he continues to just get pushed up into the air, reaching escape velocity. He's coming back down, but the straight up Menace falls off the side. He's able to TP back up, but now in the middle of everyone here. Beat's going to come through, keep him alive a little bit longer. Pulse Bomb comes out, but not going to find anything. As Palsy very, very low, cannot stay alive as Norman just nukes him down. Menace now has to worry about this Tracer up next. Osiren as well. If he finds one of those lucky shots, that Tracer will pretty much just instantly pop, and Osiren will find that headshot he was looking for.
I mean, it looks like right now Menace is feasting. I mean, he has his ult again already, and he just used it. I mean, that team fight was fantastic from him. Did a great job recovering from, the boop off the map. And, just outputting insane amounts of damage. Really great play from straight up Menace there.
Yeah, you can tell he is so aware that he has to play around these ledges. We're going to see Innocent swap over to the Winston. The Death Blossom comes out from Menace, though. They did not expect it to be out that fast as Ice Volcano and Gergs end up falling. Norman's going to trade him out, but that's 2 quick kills for SNHU. And you see uOttawa, I mean, they just have to fall back at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you can't push this down both your Lucio and your Sojourn. I mean, great play by Menace. He dies for it, but it was a sacrifice was not in vain. Takes 2 very important picks with him.
Overclock coming out from Pepto, trying to land these shots, but Norman teleporting away. So these rail shots just going a little bit wide, not quite finding their target. One trick's going to be able to take down Norman, though, but will pay the price. Innocent takes him down. Palsy trying to stay alive in the thick of things, but just taking a lot of damage to the shield, has to fall back to his team. But Gergs is going to shut him down before he can find that healing he so desperately needed. SNHU only 3 strong right now, waiting for reinforcements to come back out. Innocent realizing this, gonna immediately hop in on this backline here. Menace trying to stay alive in the Kitsune Rush, trying to go in on the backline now. Pushing through that tank. Innocent will end up falling. Asarn finishing off that kill. Menace finds one, but Norman trades it out once again as Menace falls. Pepto is on the scene though and takes down Ice Volcano. Continuing to try and find something here, contesting the card. He's able to find that headshot, but not quite enough charge to make it lethal. So Norman continues to push up this cart. Don't worry about that, but good railgun shot here could easily take him down with how little health he has, and there's no healing on the way anytime soon. Osiren's going to be the one to pick up that kill. Innocent switching over to the ball, trying to get on this card. A minute left on the clock for uOttawa. They need to try and bust down this door.
Oh yeah, they are definitely having a hard time approaching this bridge. SNHU is doing a great job defending it. I mean, stellar play from, you know, I think really everybody here. I know One Trick goes down early. They're very unfortunate railgun shot from Gergs. But I think, you know, they're sending the DPS here point in order to stop the contest.
Bruno Palsy died there. Norman finding two with the help of that Death Blossom. uOttawa are going to be able to find this second point, and SNHU are now in a little bit of a scary situation here as uOttawa begin their push on to final right here. They don't have to make it quite all the way. They just have to make it a little bit shy of it.
Yeah, and I mean, again, great defense from SNHU there. They've got up with a really rough time bank here, under 2 minutes to start, and they've still got all of that space that they need to push. SNHU can really, they really have a good opportunity to lock them down here.
Menace close to his ultimate as well. We've seen how effective he is with that Death Blossom. Could potentially be an opportunity for him to shut down a team fight here, but the overclock going to come out from Pepto. We'll see how much more they want to invest in this. One Trick sends the beat out. We'll see the counter beat come through on Ice Volcano. Isn't able to hit the whole team, but Palsy is going to find a good opportunity to be able to run in. That hook getting broken there. He dips around the corner. Going to stay alive for just a little bit longer. SNHU push back uOttawa, but they're coming back immediately. See the Kitsune Rush come out from Osiren, and One Trick finds a double foop kill as Death Blossom also starts to go through, trying to send even more of them off the edge here. They continue to push them back into spawn, just cleaning things up, trying to stagger them as hard as they possibly can. SNHU falling back to the cart. 45 seconds left on the clock for uOttawa.
I mean, great play by One Trick there. Lucio is definitely a character you got to watch out for. He's never the immediate threat, but he is always a threat. You've got to be aware of where he is. You've got to know he's taking. That is unfortunate.
Osiren getting picked off so early, and that is going to be a big deal for uOttawa here as Palsy falls. Doesn't have the healing he needs to stay alive. We see the overclock come out from Gergs just to try and shove SNHU even further back in their spawn. This cart is getting close to the finish line now. SNHU are going to have to try and play for this touch. And with Innocent right in those spawn doors, it's going to be so hard. Palsy's on the scene, does get booped out, but the Kitsune Rush comes out from Supreme as well as the whole hog from Innocent. They're playing for full control of this cart, and Palsy falls. uOttawa are able to shove the cart in all the way. They're going to find the second map. They would take Eichenwald 2-0.
You know, that last fight again came down to kind of, you know, who had the ultimates to counter who, and, you know, Palsy came in, had the primal, was ready to contest. They were ready to shut him down with the Kitsune Rush on top of the whole hog. It was just the perfect way to shut down a primal. You know, great usage of ults there by uOttawa Garnet.
I think something you definitely cannot really undervalue on Roadhog is, you know, Whole Hog is a very interesting ultimate, right? It's not the best at killing people. But it excels at just denying area. You know, when it comes down to those overtime situations, a lot of times I can't think of a better ultimate to really bust out on the point and just sort of like shove people into corners, killing people who get caught on walls, and just kind of forcing them away from the point. It's a really decent ultimate to have.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, from when they made the shift from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, making the change to the ult where you could use your abilities during it and still have the whole hog, definitely added a level of nuance to playing around it. Now it's not just, you know, a get off of me tool, but he can hook you in back into the whole hog and continue to deal huge amounts of damage. Even if you get him low, he can heal in the middle of it. It definitely added, you know, some strategy to how you use it other than just get off me, you know?
And we saw a lot. I mean, he was hooking people, shoving them in corners, and then continuing with the whole hog. And I mean, once you're in that corner, it's like getting pushed into the wall with Primal Rage. You know, you're not going to live that long if you don't get some healing right away. So it's a very scary situation to be in there, and we saw uOttawa really making good usage of that, especially on those overtime holds. We saw them win Busan off of that whole hog there. I mean, they popped it on the final overtime hold there, shoved SNHU off the map. or shove them off the point. Saw the same thing on Eichenwald, and I think really good usage of their ultimates in general, but particularly that Roadhog utility. The utility he can bring to the situation, being able to use that to its full effectiveness is something we're really seeing from uOttawa.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the interactions that, we've seen a couple of times now is the Kitsune Rush combined with the Whole Hog. And,
yes.
Kitsune Rush increases your firing rate, and Whole Hog is on a timer. So instead of making the ult end quicker, he ends up shooting more shots when he's in Kitsune Rush. So that's more damage that's coming out. It's coming out much faster than it would, in a regular Whole Hog outside of Kitsune Rush. So that combo is definitely lethal, and they have proved it over and over here.
It's one of those things where really you see, like Winston just does not quite synergize that quite as well with that. But looking at what's next, Route 66 is going to be our third map of the night. We'll see how this one plays out. Once again, this is SNHU's pick. uOttawa got some bans before SNHU got their say, but Route 66 is what they have decided to go to.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a great map for us. I think we played really well on Route 66 in the past. The thing I'm nervous about is it's a good Roadhog map. I'll admit.
Yeah. It's not too vertical.
Yep, it's not too vertical, and in the places where there is verticality, it's easy to access. So Roadhog isn't really limited by his verticality. So we'll see how they play this map with the Roadhog here, see if SNHU makes any adjustments.
Let's go ahead and hop into game now. I'm interested to see what Gergs is playing this time, because Gergs is always the one who's kind of not on the surge. I think he was for a little bit on the last map, but uOttawa having that kind of flex DPS pick, very interesting. I want to see exactly what they see. I mean, we see the double sniper coming out right away as they play their defense with the Sigma. I think that's a little bit more of a traditional Route 66 kind of tank play, but the double sniper is definitely very interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, Hanzo and Widow are both great on this map respectively, but you don't typically see them play together. Usually they'll be mixed in with a Torbjorn or a Sojourn or something like that. So we'll see how the double sniper goes, especially into SNHU's Winston composition. I mean, this Winston comp looks like it's in a really good place to dismantle the double sniper Sigma comp. So, I'm interested to see how uOttawa plays it, based on the fact that I think SNHU's comp really has an advantage playing into this team.
We might not even see the Kiriko come out from uOttawa here as they switch on over to the Baptiste. Definitely an interesting team composition. Going to break up things a little bit here. See some variety to come out for sure. And I mean, hey, I guess Norman with the Storm Arrow could really kind of do Reaper's job a little bit there. Definitely a lot of damage you can put out very quickly. Tanks might need to fear that a little bit here. But as SNHU start to play forward here, Railgun Shot not going to find a kill. But Palsy trying to jump up will get booped right back out. Good response from uOttawa there. Gergs is going to find the headshot onto Pepto, though, and win out on that fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm excited for here, we're seeing, oh my goodness, Norman is just popping off. Their snipers are hitting their headshots here in this first team fight. I'm really interested to see how Palsy reacts on the Winston and how he, plays into this double sniper in a place where he really can be impactful to shut these two down.
This is really interesting because the moment Palsy goes in, we see Norman and Gergs immediately shift focus over to SNHU's backline. And they found 3 quick kills the moment that Palsy stepped away from his team. Gonna be a very, very scary kind of thing to deal with here. Gonna need to see some adaptation come out from SNHU. It looks like they might have caught Supreme out just a little bit here, but we'll see them get pushed back onto the high ground over here as Palsy can establish control on top of that gas station. Menace starting to go in, but taking so much damage. He doesn't have Wraith up either. He's gonna fall to Norman. The lamp does come out from Twiglu. Pepto shuts that down. Palsy finding the kill onto Gergs. Exchanging some kills back and forth here as Norman sends out that Storm Arrow. We'll be able to take down Palsy with the final shot of that as uOttawa start to stabilize, regain some ground here.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that they really had all the information going into that team fight. I mean, we saw Palsy really take control of that gas station high ground, but I think that there wasn't anybody there, right? They weren't holding that high ground. They didn't even want. So I think that maybe the leap was made without all of the information necessary, and I think Menace also continued to push their team, so it looked like just a miscommunication there.
Yeah, and that can be fatal in these particular instances. If your tank is not quite where you want them to be, or makes maybe a little bit, like you said, just it doesn't have all the information, it can really cause that kind of disunified front line there. But Gergs firing through that amplification makes it's going to take out one trick there. Something they got to be very, very scared of, but there is a lot of cover to block them from that window. That piece is opened up. We'll see them on the low ground here, but Norman coming in is going to find the kill and straight up Menace with that sonar arrow. taking him out with that, getting some information as well. Pepto trying to get back from his team, but the Suzu keeping him alive, just barely going to escape, and Supreme's going to fall as well. The Flux comes out from Innocent, but 2 quick kills from SNHU. Norman and Twiglu end up falling here. Gurgs, scary situation. Pepto finds the headshot, though. We'll see if they're able to push the cart all the way here. Going to be a brief opportunity for a contest here from uOttawa. We'll see if they want to take it.
Yeah, I'm thinking if I'm uOttawa, I don't really want to push out of these tiny corridors into this Winston comp.
We'll see them start to come out anyway, though. But the Dragon Strike coming through is going to be a big, big deal here. Paul's taking some damage from that. Going to disjoint SNHU a little bit here, but a Death Blossom coming out from straight up Menace. Going to break that lamp. Norman will be able to shut him down, though. SNHU still able to capture this point, though. Get this first point, get that time extension, start to move things a little bit more forward here, and we'll see Palsy pushing through as uOttawa now find themselves out of position. SNHU encroach on them. We see Gurg's reset.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly like I said, you don't really want to push through that tiny corridor. Even with a Lucio beat, they struggled to get through there without having to deal with Palsy. I mean, that Winston is a problem in those tight corridors, all mushed together. And he really proved that you can't just ignore him.
A composition shift here from uOttawa as they go back to this Roadhog composition. They're still going to have a little bit of an interesting kind of lineup here. They're not going to be running the Lucio at all. Maybe Twiglu will have the chance to switch once he respawns, but Supreme is going to swap over to the Kiriko just to keep that Roadhog alive. Norman and Gurgs on a little bit more unorthodox picks with this tank as well, but Innocent finds the kill onto Palsy. We'll see Menace now going in on the backline, see if he's able to find too much here. Pops Wraith early, now has to deal with Innocent indoors here. He's doing a ton of damage, but the Suzu comes out to keep him alive, and he's got 3 people on him. Going to be a quick kill for uOttawa, taking down Menace. Just a little bit overextended as this team is still up here on the cliffside.
I mean, something we've seen Menace do over and over here tonight is build those ults fast. He used at the end of first point, you know, and he's already 80% to his next one. I mean, he is dealing tons of damage and building those ultimates quick.
Dragon Strike coming out from Norman, though. Pepto's going to shut him down on the cast animation, though. Twiglu finds a quick double kill, though. Pepto will be able to find that trade, take down Twiglu, but Gurgs is going to make him pay for it. Palsy just trying to push the cart as much as he can, hiding behind that. Innocent is going to take him down. Osiren getting cleaned up as well. SNHU with 1.5 minutes have just a little bit more to go before they capture this second point.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, you've got uOttawa with 4 ultimates and SNHU, you know, over 80% to 4 to themselves. Definitely going to be an interesting fight here. I think we're going to see a lot of ults pop. They'll probably have to stop and wait here for Menace, though. Hard to push without your Reaper.
Yeah, that big pick there from Innocent. I mean, he's really just taking up so much space in these caves, and he takes down Pepto as well. Such an unfortunate pick coming out, and you really got to be careful of this sightline if you don't know he's there. Even if you do know he's there, what can you really do?
You've got to be careful peeking those sightlines that he's holding. He can one-shot you. That is something that everyone needs to remember. And sometimes it's easy to forget. He's big, he's chunky, he's got a lot of ult charge to give you, but, you know, peeking him is always dangerous.
Yeah, he kind of puts almost a pace limiter on the game. You're kind of forced to play around how he wants to hold the game. Very much kind of a tempo maker in that regard. But we'll see Menace teleporting up to the high ground here, trying to contest a little bit on top of this garage. The window opens, but Palsy immediately with the disruption to see Death Blossom come out, immediately breaking the lamp. A whole hog coming through for Innocent. Might just shove Palsy off the side. Pepto is going to go down, so we'll straight up Menace. See Palsy still alive, still in the action. One Trick taking a ton of damage as well. Kitsune Rush comes out from Osiren as they try and hold on to this fight with Innocent cleaning things up. SNHU are going to get pushed back again. Only 10 seconds left. A lot of them still respawning. We'll see if they're even able to get this touch.
Yeah, and I mean, that right now they're playing to enable that Roadhog. He is having a night with these hooks. He is hitting these one-frame peaks. I mean, I'm sure Pepto knew it was there. It didn't peak him, you know, very hard because he is a Roadhog. You know, Pepto's a great player. He understands that that's not something safe to do, and that Roadhog still hit the hook. I think, you know, he's just really having a great night tonight. And we're seeing his supports enabling him so much. He's using the Kitsune Rush to empower the whole hog. We saw the window come out to empower the whole hog. I mean, he is getting immortalities. He's getting Suzus. Like, they are putting a lot of resources into this Roadhog to ensure that he is able to play how he wants to play.
Right. I mean, he's a tank with the killing power of a DPS, and if they're able to just continue to kind of pump that survivability into him, he's really just going to kind of dominate unless he really gets checked, and that's what we see happening so far. uOttawa changing things up a little bit here. We're going to see them running the Onyx, seeing them run the Genji. This is interesting, and SNHU are also trying to change things up a little bit here.
I definitely like the Orisa pick. I mean, I feel like if you're going to pick a tank to counter Roadhog, you've got two options, and I think it's Sigma and Orisa. I think that, Orisa with both Fortify and Spear Spin, able to stop him from hooking her alone on top of her Javelin throw, being able to stop the Roadhog from healing. I mean, I think that Orisa's got a lot of capability to stop the Roadhog from playing the way he wants to play. We also see the Torbjorn come out, which means he's going to be able to check those flanks. He's going to be able to check the Genji here. So I like this comp coming out from SNHU.
Yeah, really this Orisa is going to be able to... I mean, Roadhog essentially can't interact with this Orisa in any meaningful way, right? They're not going to be able to land those crit shotgun shots, not going to be able to land those hooks. It's going to be really up to Palsy to try and push that advantage as much as possible here. And we see Innocent immediately, just peeking these really aggressive angles. And Gerg's going up high on the Widowmaker, trying to land these rogue headshots. Straight up misses. Turret's going to get destroyed. Palsy now in a very tough situation right now. Will get bailed out by his team, but Gergs is going to find Pepto in the middle of the crossfire there. Very unfortunate pick for SNHU. And One Trick also getting caught out by Innocent there with that hook. Palsy now in a situation where his backline is getting killed right in front of him, and that Roadhog hook is landing everywhere but him.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it there. Great hook by the Roadhog on the flank. Palsy wasn't expecting it. He was focusing on the Widowmaker, got hooked by the Roadhog and put in a really bad position, forcing his team to come out and try and save him. And it just really, put Pepto in a bad place. It was a great hook by Innocent to really give him the advantage there, and then to hook One Trick immediately after. I mean, that's 7 seconds later. He's got another kill secure. I mean, that is his killing potential is insane, and Innocent is doing a great job of taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I just love the Widowmaker pick here. It really does a great job at kind of punishing the tank without having a shield, and it really splits, kind of the Orisa's attention between that Roadhog and between the Widowmaker. Which one do you really want to try and pressure? We see Innocent find that hook once again, continuing to find these unexpected angles to grab Palsy before he's able to gold up. Just still force that cooldown out, but the Foresight coming out from Gergs and giving them a little bit of information to work with here. See, they're all on the high ground up top, trying to land these shots. Pepto's starting to go in on Gergs. We'll see if he's able to land these final shots. He's not, but Norman is going to be the one to fall instead. He starts to go in on the rest of the team right now. Just shot, locking down Supreme. One Trick's going to be the one to shut him down. Innocent now with no hook. You see Palsy immediately pushing the advantage, and Gergs is in the mix too somewhere. Very low health, is going to end up dying as Palsy finds that kill. Lamp going out to keep him alive. See for how long he's able to. Does have a Genji on him, but ideally they should be able to heal through that as SNHU build up to some big ultimates. uOttawa right on their heels though.
Yeah, Orisa is super resilient, and Palsy is taking advantage of that, pushing the initiative when he has his cooldowns, and they have the advantage. Great play by him there to secure those final kills.
uOttawa here, really they're going to be looking, once again, you're going to see this Kitsune Rush and this whole hog come out at the exact same time on this card. It's just so good at denying so much space all at once. We'll see actually the Nano Blade coming through from Norman. As he starts to go in, he finds one, he finds two, while the rest of uOttawa take down the backline. It's a team kill from them, and they are right here on the point. They could just close out this set right here. I don't think SNHU have time for touch.
Yeah, they held those ults. They knew they didn't have far to go, and they knew they had a lot of time to do it. They stored them up, and they unleashed them all at the same time. It was just... it was an ult slam, and they did it to finish out the map, knowing that they didn't have too far to go.
Yeah, such smart play overall from uOttawa. Really just amazing kind of understanding of what makes this counter composition with the Roadhog really tick, and what makes it really work. You can see them being very comfortable on this kind of not off meta composition, but the counter meta composition that a lot of teams that we've seen here on stream have been struggling with. And uOttawa, they made it seem like they were so comfortable in it. It was almost amazing to watch them kind of play that team composition to the level that they did.
And I think a lot of their success can be attributed to Innocent's play. He was hitting those hooks off cooldown. It was rare to see him miss one. And when he did miss one, SNHU would come back and punish him for it. They played really well around getting the cooldown out and then taking advantage of it. Problem was, he was just hitting them.
Yeah.
Tonight was just his night. right?
You could not peak him. You could not peak him without paying the price for it. He was just so consistent on that. He was so aware of pretty much exactly where the entire other team was. I mean, when he had Infrasight, definitely. It just made it 100% easier to figure out exactly where he needs to be standing to really punish people for being out of position. But I think just kind of learning how to play around that Roadhog, right? I mean, he's not a character that's meta too often. So, it's definitely kind of a play style, or playing against that's a play style you really got to invest a lot of time into. And it's a very weird character to play against because he does, like I said, he just slows the game down to his pace. If you're trying to play a fast composition, that Roadhog can really slow you down. That Winston tries to jump on you, well, Roadhog can just punish him for doing that and not having any movement to escape.
I mean, I think part of the strength of the Roadhog comp is that you can either play it really slow and play around your range and play your poke, or you can play it really fast and try and engage before he even has an opportunity to act. And I think there's a whole middle ground that he controls, right? Everything in between, playing super fast and super slow, is Roadhog's ground, and you have to try to not play into that rhythm and tempo that he wants to have in the game.
Yeah, well, I think overall a really great match to kind of showcase the end of the Season 1 meta as we're ready to go into the next patch. Unfortunately, we won't get to see the very start of that at the end of NECC, as this marks the end of Sapphire's season. Amazing run through for them through the entire season, made it all the way up to this far is just incredible to say. I mean, going up against a team like uOttawa, definitely, I mean, first time we fought them, it was an extremely close match. This time, still pretty close. I mean, some of these maps really came down to the wire, and I think it's just overall kind of a great showing of how both these teams have really kind of progressed and grown. And overall, I think a great season to watch, and great season to be great season to kick off Overwatch too.
Very proud of our team here. I mean, we played a fantastic season, ended up with a 3rd seed. We played through the first round of playoffs, really had a successful season, I think. And looking back on it, shouldn't really focus on this one loss, but really the successes that we had and the triumphs that we overcame, and the challenges that we experienced during the season. I think we really had a great season.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to see how this team continues going into the next semester, going into the spring season for NECC. They are unfortunately done for the rest of the year, but we still have Smash in our NECC playoffs. They played earlier this week. They are still going forward through their losers bracket run, so they are going to be a team to really keep your eyes on for the rest of the semester, because it is do or die for them for the rest of the time, and they are a team who can definitely do. They are so good. They are so talented, and I love to see them play every single time they're up here. But also, I believe tomorrow night we'll be taking a look at our Valorant team, who is not, they're out of NECC playoffs right now, but they are still going through CVAL, Collegiate Valorant League. So we'll get to take a little look into how they're doing in there, and we'll have a show for you tomorrow. Keep an eye on our Twitter at SNHU Esports for updates on upcoming streams, as well as clips from this stream, all of our streams, anything like that. Events, GSG coming up on the 11th, I believe, is going to be a big event. You can find details about that on our Twitter, so be sure to check that out, as well as our Discord, discord.gg/SNHU Esports. You'll find everything I just mentioned there, as well as the great community that is in and around the arena. But that is all for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow with some Valor. For as long as they can, SNHU need to flip this now or never. They did just find 3 quick kills to start to swing at things back, and with take advantage of.
Yeah, he's definitely, I think, going to have a hard time here rotating from low to high, adapting to... Oh my goodness, what a shot there. But I think the time bank that we see now, I mean, it was just because the absolute domination of SNHU. Speaking of domination, and it gets 3, could turn it into 4 with this Reaper.
What a great ultimate coming out there. That's going to be a team kill from SNHU. And see the Kitsune Rush come out from Osiren, and One Trick finds a double group kill as Death Blossom also starts to group from Norman. As he starts to go in, he finds 1, he finds 2, while the rest of uOttawa take down the backline. It's for as long as they can. SNHU need to flip this now or never. They did. In this match, Steven still holding on to the lead at 100.